Hello guys, let's continue the presentation of the RadCORE project. Well, still emphasizing the alignment features that RadCORE offers, we're now going to see an example of a layout with a certain complexity, okay? So this example, it's also contained in the RadCORE demos, okay? There are several examples that demonstrate how we can work complex layouts with RadCORE using dynamic attributes without having to work with HTML and CSS, and this one will be a very interesting example for us to study here in the video what I did here for us. By time. So, I've copied our components here. As you can see, I've got some blocks, I've got here a grid, and an idea like it's some totalizers. Down here. So you remember that I always say that we don't have to worry about the positioning of the components on the screen, because they will be aligned when RadCORE is working. So I'm going to run the application here, and for us to understand what we're going to talk about, let's see how the application is rendered. So we have an example here. It's a very classic thing. Imagine in a form I have some comps here. I left them painted green just so we can see, but imagine here that there are some other components, a selection of a product, a selection of a supplier or something like that, and then you're going to have such a grid. This grid is going to be contained here. It's some products, there's something, the items that you add, right, and let's do this imagination, let's do it, let's imagine this, and underneath it would be the totalizers, okay, so I put it here just to exemplify, I put 4, right, totalizers, so as we already know, RadCORE is responsive, okay, so everything here that we have here on screen, it's responsive, okay? Sure. Now, let's understand how this project works. So, imagine that you have this screen and you want this grid to expand according to the screen size of the current device, but it has to indent to make room for the totalizer tiles. So, if I move my browser vertically, you'll notice that my buttons go along and my grid goes down until a certain point. Now I've stopped and my grid doesn't reduce anymore, okay? And now you can go back to the original situation. Okay, if I'm using this application on mobile from a cell phone, I want it to have a different behavior, so let's activate the mobile simulator here in the browser. So notice that on mobile my grid had a reduction and my blocks were one below the other, but I managed to have an interesting, practical layout and pass the message to my user. Going back to desktop mode, everything is normal, so let's remember, I'm going to adjust the height of the grid according to the height of my form. When I'm on desktop there's a minimum. When a certain time comes I'm not going to change it anymore, okay? I have a minimum height for my grid, it's a minimum height, okay? And on mobile I also want to have a minimum height and I want to position the my blocks one below the other, okay? Let's study. So guys, this example, okay? So here are the blocks and follow that same process, the same process that we've seen before. I'm even going to start with the blocks at the bottom, so we can remember, okay, what we learned in the first ones. Videos. So I have 4 blocks and you can see here right off the bat, right, that my average size is 3, okay, so remembering that one contained the 12 columns, I'm going to have 3, 6, 9, 12 on desktop, medium screens onwards, so I'm going to have as inclusive Tablets, right, I'm going to have one next to the other. Okay, now on small screens, I want them to have 6 columns, so I'm going to have 6 with 6, 12, 6, with 6, 12, that's why on mobile, 2 are underneath the other 2, because they stay in this rule. That we've been through. Now, how does the grid rule work? How is the grid automatically expanding? So we're going to grab here our grid block, we're going to open up our C elements and we're going to study what we have here of attributes. So we've got our block with 12 columns, okay. And we have here 3 new attributes that are working for us to make that effect. Okay, so let's start here with our right, which is our responsive height. Okay, so our, it's a very complex attribute, okay, guys, because it's going to offer a very interesting result. Okay, but come on, we can do it. I'm going to remove this comment here and then we'll understand what is being done. So the height responsive, it will work in the same way as we saw previously the scale so and so it will work here. Oh, with the parent, okay, so I have my parent which is my screwbox, that's where this block is, right, inserted, okay, I want it to position itself right off the bat, my height, I want it to subtract, right, the least top is from mine. Parent. Flavio, can you explain to me why I'm working with this less top reference? Because, next, if I'm going to do the responsive right application according to the parent, this block here would automatically take over the full right of my scroll box. So instead of starting right here, it's going to start up there, starting from position 0. Already here, as it is a responsive block and the responsive blocks follow a sequence the height of this block of mine, it will give a discount according to the position it is in, so as it started here, it is starting in this position, it will take the value of the top here. Up and go, it's going to subtract from the size of the height that's going to be enlarged, so that's why we apply this top parameter here, okay? Now, we've seen that our block, it has a spacing here at the base as I said, it needs to make room for the blocks down here, so, just like I need to adjust my height according to the top of my form, I need to also adjust here the base giving. An offset for it, of the pixels that are going to be down here, so this here is a process that's manual, I'm putting here so 92 pixels, which is more or less here what's being occupied of block with offset of the block here at the base, so I'm decreasing at the top and I'm decreasing at the bottom so that it positions itself, okay? Now, I'm putting 2 parameters here, what for? Why on mobile, right? This offset here, in mobile, both mobile vertical and mobile horizontal, it is 0. So, here are the nuances that RadCORE offers, okay. So on desktop it's going to have this offset here at the base of 92 pixels, but when I'm in mobile mode, accessing from a cell phone, this offset of 92 pixels is not necessary to do. Why? Because we can't keep messing with the browser on mobile, no one is going to be messing with the browser, stretching, pulling. It's the screen of the mobile itself. Okay, and now, finally, guys, we have, then, the min height of 250 pixels, which together with HR, created this effect that we saw here. Oh, it goes up, but it has to be at least 250 pixels, that's exactly this moment when it stops. Okay, and if we're going to do it with the quick metering, you'll see here that I'm at 250 pixels, here my block, and then it stops reducing the size of my block and here it adjusts again. So who is responsible is the min height 250 pixels. In mobile mode, we apply the max height, that is, I at most want my block to have 300 pixels, but only if I have access in mobile mode, that is, from a cell phone, and I have a vertical screen, that is, if I have a cell phone. Laying this down here is not going to be respected, so all of these attributes that we've seen here, were they responsible for the effect that we've gotten now in this demonstration? Perfect. So we'll stop here, and in the next video we'll learn more hardcore features. See you next time.